The Truth of Girls. The Truth of Girls.
Hi everyone. Well, the Canadian government is at it again, doing what they do best, which is picking our pockets. Now they want to implement a food tax. We have a lot of tax as it is, a lot of income tax, also something like 14 or 15% sales tax. We have 2 sales taxes here in Quebec. But some things like food and also water and air have been so far tax exempt, but they want to change that. And they're saying that by taxing food, they're going to redistribute wealth, that it's going to benefit the poor. What kind of logic is that? The poor spend a much larger percentage of their income on food than the rich do. But their logic is the rich, who spend a lot of money on food, would be getting taxed on that, and then the government will take that money and reallocate it to poor people through things like tax cuts. Of course, that's not how it's going to work out, because first of all, the poor spend more money on food to begin with, so they're going to be hit really hard, and then the reimbursements that they give you are pretty small. So I don't buy it. I'm not actually surprised by this news, because even 2 years ago, when I was just minding my business, trying to watch some trashy TV on the internet, I kept being subjected to these ads from, at the time actually it was the Quebec government, I think, saying that they were going to start taxing certain things, that they needed more money. They needed more money, and actually there's a lot of money out there to collect. All you got to do is tax people more for more stuff. And they were suggesting things like a tax on junk food. And so it went from, let's tax jelly beans, which was in the ad, which I don't think they ever did, to now it's just jumped to, let's just tax all food. They're going to tax a lot of things, and it's not going to be only food. And where is this money going? Because as they're raising our taxes all the time, they're cutting money. Education costs are going up. There's been a lot of protest against that over at McGill University. Education's going up, healthcare, well, it's still free, but you're going to wait a long time to get it. In fact, you might die in some overcrowded emergency room. This happens all the time. Social programs in general, well, hasn't been working out too well for the old people. They're cutting back on their pensions, talking about raising their retirement age to 67 instead of 65. So they're not the ones getting anything out of it. Poor people in general, did you know we actually have 30,000 homeless people here in Montreal out of a population of about 3 million, which means that roughly 1% of Montrealers are homeless? I was really shocked when I heard that. So they're collecting more taxes and they're cutting funding to social programs. And they have meetings to discuss how they're going to cut funding, how they're going to save money. But they spend a lot of money on those meetings. Like one they had recently where they spent something like $120,000 talking about how they could save money by cutting spending. So where's all this money going? Well, it's going to the military. And the military budget has been increasing and increasing for the last 10 years. And it's now around $26 million a year. Billion, sorry. Every year they tax us more, they cut funding to social programs. They're basically making the poor poorer and the middle class poorer. And meanwhile, they're giving a lot of money to the military. Why? Does Canada really need to have such a strong military? What for? Well, because they're supporting the US in their imperialistic efforts in the Middle East and elsewhere. That's where our money's going. And I'm getting really sick of it. And I would not for 1 second believe this nonsense that taxing the food is going to benefit the poor. It's not. Every time they tax anything, the poor are the hardest hit. You know, I'll give you an example. They recently allocated a solidarity tax credit, and I, as a working person, get something like $50 a month. My husband, who's on disability, who earns a lot less than I do, well, he doesn't earn it, he receives it, so he's a lot poorer than I am. Somebody on disability gets about $25, but they also cut their disability check back by about $10. So what do they get? $15. So the money is just shuffled around, and the poor really don't benefit. This is what they tell you every time they want to tax you more and pick your pockets to give your money to the military and to benefit corporations like the military industrial complex. They always tell you it's for your own good, but I think people are wising up and realizing that this is nonsense. I don't believe it, and I don't think you should believe it. In fact, I think that if you're Canadian and you're watching this and this makes you pretty angry, then what you should do is write to your member of parliament, because in the past that was what prevented them from implementing the food tax. It was public outcry. So don't think that you don't have a voice. Dear Mr. Garneau, are you people out of your freaking minds? So I think we should take the opportunity to speak out while we have the opportunity. And thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.